Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
Jimmy.
I'm just
It's Julia. I think the others just haven't clicked on yet, but you're good.
I'm just checking my numbers. I will call back at 6.
Sounds
Okay?
good. See you shortly. Okay.
Thanks. Bye. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I was in.
Well, I guess I'm in if you're in.
Amen.
Yes, sir, you're both in. I think the room just hasn't joined us yet.
Again. Lots of nice looking faces out there. Nobody looks sick. Nobody's hacking or coughing. So welcome to our board meeting. Uh-oh, who was that? Yeah, can everybody hear okay? Welcome to our May 4th meeting of the Board of Trustees of East Mississippi Community College. This time, I would like for you, if you will, to bow with me in prayer for our invocation. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we praise you and thank you for all the good things that you do for us. We thank you for this college, and we thank you for all the people that make it possible. We thank you for all the hard work that they put in to keep it afloat and to continue to do the things that we need to do for our students and staff and community. We ask your blessings on this meeting. We will do and say and be the trustees and do what your will is for this college. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. At this time, we would like to say our pledge to allegiance, so please stand. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
And the flag
which stands one nation
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's look at our agenda. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda and adoption of the consent agenda. Your motion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
Joe Max Higgins, I would like to remove new business, item 1 or A1.
Do we want to consider that as a separate item? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I've let 6 people that I know read this and say, and ask them, what do you think we're doing here? And they say, I ain't got a clue. I don't want to vote on something that I don't know what it means. I'd like to remove it and it just briefly be described what we're doing.
Well, could someone explain it now and leave it in?
Sure.
Okay. Do we have an explanation for number 1 under new business A?
I'll be glad to provide an explanation. Mr. Trong had tendered his resignation, ending at May when the semester ends, and I think he had another job somewhere, and that job ended up falling through. And rather than us going out and trying to find another culinary instructor, we went back to him and asked him if he'd entertain staying on. He'd done a good job in the culinary program, and he said that he would. And we need him to work 12 months now. When the kitchen gets back up and going, we'll need, we're going to go to a 12-month program on that, taking students year round. So it's a 1-year program, and we'll need him on a 12-month salary, teaching year round, much like the practical nursing program.
Okay.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, so he resigned. He was a good teacher. Y'all would like to have him back. He came back and said, hey, I don't want to quit. And we said, okay. We're fine.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right, I'm good.
Anything else? I did find one typo on the minutes for April 6th, so we're going to correct that typo. It was just an omission of a last name. Were there any other corrections or additions to the minutes? So we would
Madam Chairman, Madam
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
this is Jimmy. I have one question. Mr. Higgins can answer it. The way the minutes read on the motion concerning per diem, I'm confused. Are the minutes correct? Is that the intent of the motion as written?
That's on page 4 toward the back of the minutes
Yes,
document.
toward the end of the meeting, it was about, I think the motion was not to pay per diem, but to pay travel to those who traveled. was my understanding. Perhaps I'm incorrect.
That was my intent, sir. I said we shouldn't be paying travel for people that didn't go down there, nor did I think per diem fit for people that weren't down there. And best I remember, they said, well, what about Kathy and Michelle? And I think we all agreed to pay them.
Okay, I just want to be sure the motion is correct as written. If it is, good.
Clarification on that. Per diem has nothing to do with travel. It is service position. Mileage is.
Michelle, you're breaking up. You're going to have to get on a better phone because we're going to be talking a lot tonight. And you're breaking up very badly.
My understanding was that the issue was not being approved for anyone who did not travel, and that there was no issue with the per diem for the service. If that's not correct, then a motion to correct it needs to be made.
Well, I think we're going to talk about per diem tonight. So I made the motion. I would be okay if we just paid travel expenses for Michelle and Kathy, and we deleted the per diem. I'd be all right with that correction.
Okay, for the minutes, my understanding is we're going to eliminate the portion of the motion that says pay per diem. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Bobby McDade here. Can I say something?
Yes.
We're gonna be discussing this in just a moment when Dr. Alterbrook gets up. I see it's in his in the things that he's going to discuss. Why are we discussing it right now?
This is just to get the minutes of our April meeting correct. We are not discussing action on per diem or travel at this time.
Okay.
There was a comment I didn't hear. Who was that? Okay. So the minutes will now read to pay travel only for Michelle and Docs. Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, we need a motion for approval of agenda and adoption of consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Brooks makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Say your name.
It's Ed Mosley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mosley. It's a second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We will be taking, we will be using vote on issues that may need that, but I don't think for this particular motion, we need a roll call.
Remind everybody to use, unless there's getting some feedback.
Okay, we're getting feedback from people that have your monitor on talk, so if you could mute that unless you are intending on whatever you say or whatever's happening around you to be broadcast. Thank you. Okay, at this point, I do not have a board chair's report, so I will call on Dr. Alterbrook to give me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to speak loud so everybody can hear me well. Thank everybody for being here tonight. It's been an interesting couple of months for everybody involved in business and industry and education. And the first thing I have on my agenda is to talk about the COVID-19 virus and an update from the college's perspective from what's going on with federal financing and statewide financing that we know at this point. The federal government, through the Department of Ed, created a CARES Act to help schools reimburse costs associated with the COVID-19 virus and to assist with students that incurred expenses required to move from in-person to online. East Mississippi Community College received about $3.4 million through that Department of Ed fund. That is in the bank, so to speak. It's in our G5 account that we dispersing federal financial aid. We have yet to receive real clear guidance on some of the guidelines with the student dispersal or the college reimbursement for expenses dispersal, which is it's equal 50-50. So it's about $1.4 million, $1.7 million in each one of those pots of money. So we understand that the IHLs just recently on how they're going to disperse their money to their students. The community colleges are looking closely at what they've done. We want to make sure we follow what guidelines are available, but we will be dispersing half of that $3.4 million to students that qualify for CARES Act funding. The college side, the college make up for what losses we might incur because of that. We can't reimburse ourselves for appropriated losses, but expenses associated with dealing with COVID, we are keeping a very good spreadsheet, if you will, and budget on what we've had to spend and what expenditures we might foresee in the future. And when the guidelines are released and everybody understands them properly, we will disperse the student money and reimburse ourselves for those expenses. We also have been meeting on the state side money daily. We have been put together. The state money is obviously questionable because much of our appropriated funding comes from revenue for the state of Mississippi. Last week, as late as Thursday night, we were on a phone call that indicated we would probably be looking at about a 5% cut in appropriated money. This morning, as of 10 o'clock, we learned that it's now looking at more of a 10 to 15% cut. So we started out with this budget process. We're early in the process compared to years past. We built some scenarios around these various budget cuts, and we built a 5, a 10, and a 15. And the work that we've done over the course of the month of April paid off because we were rapidly able to adjust our budget today. And we sent that to the budget committee. And with that, I'm going to ask Chairman Brooks if he'd like to give an update on the budget committee's work.
Everybody should have received a budget book this afternoon that was updated with 15% cut. Like Dr. Alsabrook said, he and Ms. Holmes and everyone else have been working daily trying to get a budget together. And we are early in our process, which is a good thing. We met today and got some preliminary numbers of some requests, I believe, that are going to come back and bring some other information back to the Finance Committee. But with that, they are meeting every day from 10 to 12 on Zoom, working on this and other things with the college. So if it becomes apparent that the Finance Committee needs to meet again, we can move in at 10 o'clock on one of their meetings and then have a budget ready at some point in June for adoption. Because of the state's lag in providing information and getting the information from the legislature, we may have to have a special call meeting towards the end of June to officially adopt the budget, but they have done a good job getting things together at this point and working with an ever-changing environment.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. There is a lot of uncertainty and it is changing daily, and we'll try to keep everybody up to date. If we learn anything significant, we'll send you an email and ask for that meeting. Next on my list is the enrollment report, and we've got Dr. Sanders online, and she's going to update us on some numbers. I think the latest report was run at 445, so to give us an indication of what summer enrollments looking like, Dr. Sanders.
Yeah, let me just say that we didn't start tracking enrollment last year until May the 9th. So to be able to do a comparison day to day, we'll have to wait about another week. But currently for summer, we have 609 students that have already registered. For the fall, we have 832 that have already registered. And we have at least 578 that have submitted applications. They're in the admissions process, as well as about 600 for summer. And then for fall, we have, for fall, we have 578 that are in the admissions process. For summer, 223 that are still turning in their paperwork at this point. And for the ones in the summer that are still in their advising process, there's about 165 of those. And for the fall, we have about 681 that are still in the advising process. So right now, it looks like we are probably on par for what we did last year. We might be down just a little bit, but the numbers will play out, I hope, in a few weeks, and we'll know exactly where we are in comparison to last year.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. Yeah, with all the uncertainty, I would consider that a good report. The one thing that her team has done, Dr. Sanders, the enrollment management group, they started using all these online tools to try to do virtual orientation and virtual meetings with prospective students and existing students to get them advised and counseled and ready to go for the summer and fall. Our faculty's done a good job of helping with that as well. I said that at our last meeting that our dropout numbers were far better than what I ever would have expected. We have not lost very many students. Last count I actually saw was 10 complete dropouts from this college since this COVID-19 started back in mid-March, and the abrupt changes we had to make. And if you'd asked me in early March if this happened, how many students would drop out, I would have predicted many, many more than what we've seen. And that's a testament to our faculty and Dr. Sanders and the enrollment management team. So thank you for that, Dr. Sanders. And thank you to all our faculty that might be listening and attending this meeting virtually today. The next item I have is the Board of Trustees per diem and travel, and it was some confusion, and I did get some questions about it, and I wanted to discuss it. And Michelle, our attorney, Ms. Easterling, ran some, or gathered some information for us. I was confused myself about how it actually worked. The travel is separate. The per diem is a $40 service that's provided to board members. And I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really understand that myself. But if we want to, if the board wants to entertain changing that, I believe we could do that through a motion. I think it's currently maybe in our bylaws, but we could change it through a motion or not. I'm not sure.
I don't know that it's in our bylaws so much, but it's pretty typical for boards to have the legislature authorized a service fee. Basically, it's a nominal sum to be paid to trustees for their duties, not just in attending meetings, but for serving in that capacity. But the mileage portion of it is based on, the IRS rate for travel. So yeah, I mean, and some, and I was talking with somebody, at one point, I think someone had donated theirs to the foundation. They declined to receive it. I think someone has at one time in the history that I'm aware of declined to receive it. I think you've got whatever options you want, but this board has typically been paid for per diem and mileage for all the miles that they travel from the most reasonable path from their home to their meeting place and back.
Okay. So if the board would be interested in changing how that's structured, that's certainly something we can do through a motion or further discussion until next meeting. Madam Chair, I don't know, but that's what we learned over the course of looking into this. Per diem and the travel is actually separate.
Also, Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Joe Max. I'm the one that brought it up, and I have asked for mine to be, if it's mandated by law, to be donated to the university, their funds. But we pay ourselves mileage to go to the board meetings. I understand that people are driving their vehicles. And then we provide a board member, and what I've witnessed at least is members of their family a nice meal at the board meeting. And then we pay a $40 check also. I'm accustomed to per diem being something, if I send some of my staff out of town, they've got a per diem that they pay for their eats and stuff like that while they're out on the road. We're taking care of the eats and we're taking care of the mileage. When I asked about it initially, I was told that it was mandated and required, that it wasn't a discussion item. In the statute, it says that the college trustee may be paid out of junior college. I just think, every little bit helps, and we're money short, going to be money shorter than I think the budget committee thinks moving forward. And I guess my question is, are we doing this because we want to serve, or are we doing this because we want to make $40 a meeting? I would like to make a motion that we continue to pay mileage, and if you want to do the meals, but that we forego per diem, and if we don't forego the per diem, we forego the meals, one or the other. I think would be very appropriate.
So your motion is to choose between per diem and a meal, but continue to be able to collect travel mileage.
Yeah. Let me make it simple for you, Kathy. Let's just do this. Mileage is, I think that's a given. I would like to make a motion that we do away with the per diem as currently done, the $40 per board member per month.
I do think there's a distinction between the meal and the per diem. Per diem is service. It is for service. The meal, I don't think there's any problem with the meal because the meetings are typically at supper time. And it's, you know, it's not, I don't think it's an excessive expense. There's not any kind of alcohol or anything being served. So I don't see that the per diem, I don't think I could agree that per diem is in lieu of a meal. That's just clarification from my perspective. That it, I'll take that. My explanation of that.
Okay. So your motion is.
I'm just suggesting it. I'm making a motion. If it dies for a second, all I'm saying is I want it in the minutes and we'll move on. Remember, I was told at the last meeting, it's required by law. It's not required by law.
I think that's in there. I remember that it's required by law. I think it was allowed by law. So the motion is for trustees to choose per diem or a meal. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. I said I just wanted to make it simple. I don't think it's going to pass. So I want us to be able to collect mileage for those that want to collect it. And I think we should elect not to pay ourselves a per diem because it says we may. And then if the school wants to provide a meal, then the school can provide the meal. But I don't think we should be providing a meal for board members and there's some of their family members and paying per diem. I think it's wrong. So the easy thing to do, I don't think you're going to cut out the meal. So the easy thing to do is cut out the per diem. So I make a motion that we don't pay per diem because I read it as an optional that we can do. We don't pay per diem.
Is there a second?
Second, Greg Stewart.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Brooks? Davis? Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis, are you there?
I'm trying to speak.
Okay. Are you voting
Hear
for?
me now? I vote yes.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Higgins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Johnson? Ms. Hazel Johnson? Ms. Hazel Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDade? Mr. McDade?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Mosley?
Yes.
Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Nichols? Frank Nichols?
He's not here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Motion carries.
For Ms. Johnson, it's all ayes except for Mr. Nichols' absent.
Okay, now we will move on to the Golden Triangle Early College High School report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have some information that we'd like to share because GTEX has been mentioned in the media quite a bit lately. And Dr. Miller and Ms. Jill Sabley has been involved with GTEX since the start. Can give us an update on kind of from the East Mississippi Community College perspective, you know, the history of GTEX and where it's been and where we are now and what's been going on with the committee that's been meeting, the task force actually is what we termed it. Dr. Miller, could give us an update?
The items that are being shared on the screen that you see first are a couple of statements that went out to the commercial dispatch from the college over the past few weeks. And we wanted to make sure that you saw the statements that Dr. Also Brooks sent out whenever requested although they never appeared in any form in the commercial dispatch. So we wanted y'all to know that we did answer questions, and we did send some statements to try to help better describe what GTEX was all about. So that's the first 2 pages there, Mike, if you want to just go on through. And then, there was a lot of discussion in several of those articles, and I'm sure from some social media excerpts, but there's a lot of questions about the selection process for the students. And, from the very beginning, especially through the first 4 years and until the first class graduated last year in 2019, the Mississippi Department of Education considered GTEX as one of their pilot programs. And from the very beginning, their application process was open. They developed the application process, including the application format itself and the structure that was used to interview candidates and to use the random sampling computer program through the University in North Carolina and the partner program that we had in North Carolina. So that was a little bit about how the selection was made. And so the issues with the concerns over private school and homeschool kids participating, the applications had always been open to the 2 rising 9th graders in the counties, in the 4 counties that had been determined would be served by the Golden Triangle Early College High School. And so we provided that information as well to the dispatch and to others that showed what our application numbers had been since the first year through last year's or this year's current enrollment, and showed those percentages of selection, those who've been selected from the public schools as well as the private, and the rate by which applications were not accepted due to the random selection. So that's, I think that's what the table is that you have right there. It just shows the application numbers over the past few years. The next sheet there, Mike, let's see. And this is something that we had shared with others and wanted to make. I think we actually shared this with you about this time last year or right after graduation occurred for the class of 2019. And this was showing some of the performance results for the class of 2019, that first graduating class of GTEX, showing what they had, how they had progressed through GTEX and the number of diplomas that had been earned, as well as the Associate of Arts degrees and certificates, vocational certificates that had been earned by that class. And then what's the next thing that we had on there, Mike? And so if we turn that, or we look at, I'm going to let Jill Sabley is on the call as well. And Jill, if you want to chime in and talk a little bit here about this information that sort of provides some demographics and other information about our GTEX students and their selection.
Sure, this is just a breakdown of all 4 years, or excuse me, 5 years that we have accepted students, just ratio of male to female, racial demographics, some income analysis. And again, that's self-reported income that they report on the application. We have state testing scores in all areas where students have taken state tests. You'll notice that this year there were no state tests for any students in Mississippi. So that's where you see the gray blocks for COVID testing. So those students will not be tested, and they'll not be required to go back and test. On that next page, if you'll scroll up just a little bit, you've got some work keys data there, average ACT score for each of the classes who have actually taken the state mandated ACT during the junior year. And then graduation information for the first class of graduates, and then our projected information for the students who graduate on May the 16th.
So these items were in your packet just for a review, but also we wanted you to make sure that although over the past 5 years, we've on occasion, we brought you reports from time to time on what's happening with GTEX and on the admission process, the success of the students, how the students were progressing, and different things like this. We wanted to make sure that you understand as a board that as the host college for GTEX, we've been providing the college portion of this, but without charge. And so as we were moving into the transition of becoming the fiscal agent, which had been the intent from the beginning, and then we shared this with you last month as we talked about the proposed budget, that based on our understanding of some guidance that we had been given by the Mississippi Department of Education on a formula that could be used to establish a base student cost, and then being able to use a graduating formula associated with our dual enrollment, dual credit tuition cost, which is $40 per credit hour, is what we're currently charging all of the school districts that participate in dual enrollment, dual credit. That by using a prorated value on that based on the student's grade level, because the number of hours that they take would graduate upward from 9th grade through 12th grade. So each student wouldn't be charged the same amount, it would be an average. And we use that formula that the MDE provided us, as well as the participating superintendents, in a preliminary meeting about how to move forward as being the fiscal agent. And we sort of based all of our decisions and how we would physically manage GTEX once it was transitioned from Lowndes County School District to EMCC. And although throughout the meetings there was a little bit of heartburn from superintendents about knowing that there would be some increases in the future, we felt like we had settled on a good base student amount to build that budget on. And so of course we were surprised when they elected to not move forward with the MOU, but we reached out immediately after that to have discussions on how we could come back to the table and maybe work through this. And so really it pretty much over a span of about 3 weeks, it reached a point to where we found it best if we allowed MDE to intervene again and meet with us and have a discussion with those superintendents about remaining engaged with GTEX to allow the students that had already began a program of study to complete it. And for this year, for the upcoming year, everyone is going to agree to an extension of the current MOU instead of going to a new one. Lowndes County has agreed to be the fiscal agent again for this year, but we're going to use this year to reshape GTEX and look at some other options that we might be able to bring to the table about the future admissions processes and maybe programs of study that we might look at for the future. And so that's kind of where we are right now. Dr. Alston-Brooks, you know, our last meeting was on Thursday afternoon with those superintendents. And as we finished that meeting, we got commitments from both Columbus School District and from Scarville that they were committed to help the students who will be sophomores through seniors and finish out their program of study and then be faithful to work with us to try to come up with some new programs.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I think one of the things they're interested in looking into, and this is a good time to look at this. GTEX has been successful, and we may be able to keep some scaled version of GTEX together. I'm not sure, but the middle college high school model has been one, or college model has been one that has sparked some interest, and that would be more of a model where 11th and 12th graders would come to East Mississippi Community College from these districts, these 5 districts, to take some technical or career program that their school may not offer. And I thought the community is the perfect place for that. It's a large investment been made there, state-of-the-art equipment. If we can bring students in to enroll at East Mississippi Community College as career tech students to achieve their career goals, if they want to go to work right after high school, we can help them do that. And I think some of the schools are very interested in doing that. There is a model of middle college that started in Tupelo in partnership with Itawamba. And I've been talking to Dr. Allen, their president. He's going to have a meeting with us soon and describe what they're doing and how they're financing it. So we will be looking and working over the course of this next year with the school district to find something that works for all the districts to move forward with engaging our high school kids, particularly those that want to get an early start on college, whether that be the early college model or the middle college model. We're going to investigate that.
Dr. Alston-Brooks.
Yes, sir.
So, Joe Mack, so what I heard Paul say is that while we hadn't read it in the newspaper yet, Starkville's back in, Columbus is back in for the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders that are going to be starting this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And I think it was in Saturday's paper. It was in Saturday's paper that they both agreed to that.
There's not a Saturday paper. It said that it would continue, but with not 9th graders. I think most people that we're talking to are the belief that it was not continuing forward with 9th graders with two of the 3 biggest schools out of the program. But you're reporting back that Eddie Passant and Cherie Labatt are on board, and all of our schools will be on board for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders moving forward next year.
That's correct. They want to get the students that are currently enrolled in GTEX through their complete experience and graduated. We will not be, or they will not be accepting or letting us take any 9th grade students. So no freshman class this year, but we will be studying and working together to try to find a model that fits that may be better suited for the local economy even. So we will report to you as we have those meetings going forward. Any other questions on GTEX?
Maybe Jill can chime in right quick and talk about graduation coming up.
Good point. Jill, you want to tell them how we're doing the GTEX graduation? I think this will be a fun experience for these kids that can't do an in-person graduation, get to walk across the stage.
Yeah, so we talked to our kids and got just kind of polled them to get some ideas of what they wanted to do to celebrate. You know, I tried to think back to when I was a senior in high school and how important graduation was and how, you know, we just expected that things would be a certain way. And although kids are disappointed, one of the things that they really wanted is they wanted a parade and they wanted to be able to gather together in some way. So we've come up with a drive-through graduation. Dr. Taylor at the Communiversity offered up the Communiversity, and Dr. Miller and Dr. Alston-Brooks have helped us coordinate with the radio station at EMCC so that they can broadcast the actual ceremony so that students in their cars can listen to the ceremony as they're moving through the line. Julia is going to help us out with getting their pictures projected onto the virtual billboard outside the Communiversity. So that's going to be exciting for kids to get to see themselves. So they will actually drive through. They'll get to, every student can bring one car on campus So as many of their family as they can pack into that one vehicle, they can bring with them. And they will step out and pick up their diploma from the table and then kind of parade back around the university. So although it's not what we would have hoped for, we hope it's a fun way for kids to celebrate their accomplishments.
Thank you, Ms. Sable. You're right. That'll be a lot of fun and a great experience for those kids, even though we can't give them the in-person and walk across the stage. That will be something I hope they remember for a long, long time and leave GTEX and East Mississippi Community College with great memories. And many of them will receive a high school diploma and a college, either certificate or associate's degree during these times, right, Ms. Sable? How many do you have that are actually graduating with high school, and how many will have a community college certificate or degree at the same time?
44 high school graduates, and then 28 of those are projected to receive an EMCC diploma. We have some career technical students, but they're not going to finish. I know we've got a drafting student and we've got some IST students, so they're not quite finished with their programs, and they're going to stay with EMCC to continue on with that.
Well, thank you. We're glad they're staying with us, and we're proud of those other ones that are getting both of those certificates or diplomas during these ceremonies, and we're happy. And I'll also mention that EMCC is also doing a virtual graduation ceremony that will take place May the 20th. Mississippi State University is assisting us to put this together at a very reasonable price. I think our charges are around $2,750. I know we've talked about graduation costs at some board meetings in the past, and this, we want the students to have that in-person experience and walk across the stage as well, but we just can't do it right now. So we're going to do a virtual graduation using video services at Mississippi State, and we'll do the speeches and call their name and have their picture move across the screen during that ceremony. And it will be broadcast live on YouTube on May the 20th. There'll be press releases coming out. I think it's already on our website, those dates and times, but that's something for our students. It's not, again, not the walking across stage and shaking hands and all, but at least they will get an experience that I hope they remember for a long, long time. Something quite unique. Last thing I have, Madam Chair, is Lion Hills, and somebody had asked, I think Mr. Higgins asked about the cost of Lion Hills and some of the costs that's been incurred over the last several years since we've owned it. I think Ms. Holmes has the financial capital cost and such that she can show us. We can get it up on the screen.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Dr. Osbrook. In response to a request that we received from Higgins about the operational analysis for Lion Field, we have compiled a spreadsheet capturing that data and wanted to share that with the trustees tonight. You'll see that there are two separate funds that contain revenue and expenditures for the Lions Hill operation, the general fund and the auxiliary fund as well. Since its inception or acquisition in 2012, let me scroll to the bottom if you don't mind, just to show you the acquisition costs associated with the purchase of Lions Hill and some of the renovations and equipment purchases or capital expenditures that we've incurred over the years since the acquisition date. In FY13, we acquired the building and the land and all other equipment associated with it. The land itself, $2 million for the land acquisition. The building itself was nearly $376,000. The renovations that we incurred, expense for that part of the project was $314,000. Nearly $12,000 for the front gate renovation, and nearly $595,000 in equipment purchases, for a total of $2.5 in the initial or inaugural year of the acquisition for Lions Field. In FY14, you'll see the next major expenses incurred for the acquisition part of the capital expenditures for the actual country club itself. It's $304,000. $26,000 for equipment purchases and irrigation system renovation was also done for $278,000. Again, that's $304,000 for capital expenditures related to the country club portion of the operation. For FY15, we only saw minimal capital expenditure related to country club. That was $16,000 for equipment, nearly $38,000 in FY16, also for equipment related to the country club. $8,000 in FY17, also for equipment. And in FY18, the driving range purchase was $362,000, along with nearly $3,000 in equipment purchases, for a total of nearly $365,000 related to the country club itself. In FY19, it was a small purchase of $384 in equipment for capital. So for the country club portion of Lion Field, the school has realized a cost of $3.2 million related to the country club. For the classroom building, a total cost incurred of $624,000. None for the inaugural year, but in FY13, we spent a total of $301,000 for land and building. $179,000 in FY14 related to the renovation, and $64,000 in equipment purchases. Again, a total of $179,000 in FY14. FY15 we spent nearly $72,000 in equipment purchases. In 16, $9,000. No capital expenditures realized in 17. In 18, we did incur a small cost of about $7,000 for equipment purchases, and in FY19, $55,000, for a total again of $624,000 in capital expenditures related to the classroom building, both the acquisition and the renovation and purchasing. For the general fund, we saw a total of $590,000 in revenues that were booked for tuition revenues and state appropriation. For in the general fund, the 272 plus the 318,000 at the top of the screen. The information that we have. Yeah. The 272 and the 318,000 equate to a total revenue in the general fund of $590,000 since FY13. In the general fund operational side, we've spent nearly $1.7 million. You'll see that hotel, restaurant, and culinary expenses totaled $331,000 approximately. Golf, turf management, $281,000 approximately, and then for the director of Lion Field Auxiliary, $135,000, and for building and grounds maintenance expense related expenses, $925,000. Again, for a total of nearly $1.7 million. So that netted against the revenues that we saw for in the general fund for tuition and state appropriation. It was a net loss in the general fund of a little over $1 billion since 2013. For the auxiliary operations of Lion Field, we had a total revenue of nearly $7.9 million. You can see since the inception in FY13, starting at $423,000, it has grown to $1.2 million approximately realized in the end of FY19. Again, the total revenues were nearly $7.9 million since the inception from the auxiliary side. However, the expenses totaled a little over $11 million from the acquisition costs, even to the end of FY19. You'll see it's approximately $1.5 million. But again, the total expenditures that we realized since 2019 is $11 million. Netted against the revenues, there's nearly $3.2 million lost there. So with the total revenue and expenditures from the general fund and the auxiliary fund, on the acquisition costs for both the club and the classroom, we're looking at approximately $8 million there. total loss.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes. We'll entertain any questions about that information that we got together the past couple of weeks.
Scott, I've got some questions, but I'm going to wait until later in the meeting. I think we should discuss them in closed session. So I've got a lot of comments, and I'm going to wait and hold those. But don't forget me.
Okay. With that, Madam Chair, if nobody else has any questions.
This is Greg Stewart. Just a quick clarification. So I know during my time on the board, there was a point in time when we saw some fairly dire negative numbers around Lion Hills as far as losses, and it caused quite a bit of discussion. And then there was a realization that not all of the income, which is what I believe is coming into the auxiliary fund, was not reflected in those numbers, and that when those numbers were included, then it became less dire, not necessarily positive, but less dire. Is this indicating that end state where we see all of the revenue that goes into Lion Hills netted against all of the costs that Lion Hills incurs to give us those final net income loss numbers that are down there at the bottom line?
I think, Mr. Stewart, I think all of the career and technical programs that are operated in and around Lion Hills, which are just really started a year or two after the facility was bought. Those revenues were at the very beginning booked into the general operating fund, I believe, and I don't know if we went back and captured that or not, but as of late, the last few years, those revenues have been booked against the facility so that the tuition and formula dollars that are associated with students that take programs at Lion Hill does show up in this number now, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Ms. Holmes? Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that helps me at least understand that at least the last several years, that's as bad as it gets.
And we are trying, there's a lot of work going into trying to grow the programs.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to grow, right now, of course, everything's shut down, but we want to grow the culinary program. We want to grow the golf turf management. Those programs have done very well. Ms. Cheryl's here. Our hospitality and management program has grown and shown some numbers. So, I think there's hope for Lion Hills to get close to breaking even as we go from an operations standpoint. I really do believe that. We just got to continue to try to grow the numbers of students and hopeful that the golf numbers around. I think that's something that's the whole United States has experienced, a decrease in golf numbers around many clubs. I think many clubs have gone bankrupt, and hopefully that trend is near the end, and golf numbers may in fact grow again. I think we have seen some improvements in numbers of members prior to COVID-19. And right now everything's been, like everything else slowed down, but we have started to see some improvement in the numbers of golf, not only members, but also people that come and pay to play. So we're putting out an tremendous effort to try to grow the golf numbers and the events and such at the facility and to run it a little better from a student perspective and getting more students in the facility and being able to book that revenue back to the facility and show a better financial picture for it going forward.
I have one question. On the total expenses, and Ms. Holmes, you may be able to answer this. The total expenses include the purchase of the facility, correct? Correct. And in a normal business standpoint, you would take those expenses and depreciate them over a 27.5-year period. It might be helpful at some point to go back and say what depreciation expenses would we have realized at this point, and then look at the profit and loss from there versus booking 100% of the cost of the facility as an expense, because in the real world, you recognize those on a yearly basis.
We'll put that together for you and see what it looks like next month.
Anybody else have a question?
Well, just comment. Thank you. That was a very good point you made there, Spencer. I appreciate that. Golf numbers down. You couldn't tell that by looking out my back windows because there've been a lot of golfers coming through Elm Lake for the last couple months, so sort of surprised me. Finally, Ms. Holmes, Dr. Alsobrooks, can we get a copy of this? I could have been wrong. Is it Dr. Holmes?
Yeah.
Holmes, Dr. Alsobrooks, can we get a copy of this?
Yes, you can. Yes, we'll get that emailed out to you after this meeting.
Very good.
Greg, I do want to make the point that, yes, they were all in the backyard because they were down due to the city. So, but you need to come out and look in my yard again because they're back. So it's been a great couple of days, but yes, they were all out of them lake playing our place.
Well, we had a big crowd today, so I was thinking, oh, good, they might not turn it into more housing out here soon. I'm hoping.
Madam Chair, that's in my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look under new business, item C. Financial report and review of investment activity. Ms. Mosley or Ms. Holmes, do either one of you have any comments on these reports? Anyone have a question? Also under C is a notice of the Finance Committee meeting prior to the June meeting. Item D, approval to accept the lowest bid from Graham Roofing in the amount of $401,850 for the Douglas Phase 3 re-roof project. Funds are available from the GT Campus Enlargement and Improvement Fund. Dr. Miller, do you have anything to comment about this?
This is a section of roof that we've been trying to get repaired for quite a while. And this is a very opportune time to do it because a great deal of it is over classrooms and laboratories that are adjacent to the old student center and across the hall from the Lyceum. And so this would be a great time to get that done while we don't have a lot of traffic under there. And we've got funds available in our enlargement and improvement account.
Any questions? Is there a motion for approval for Graham Roofing to have this award?
So moved.
Spencer Brooks makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second. Linda.
Linda Jackson?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor, aye? Oh, we'll do a roll call, sorry.
No.
Forget where I am sometimes. Mr. Brooks? Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis?
Aye.
I vote yes. Mr. Higgins?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Hazel? Ms. Hazel Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. McDay?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Mosley?
Yes.
Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols is not here. Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Item E, approval to EMCC full-time faculty to be employed for FY 2021 school year, subject to change based on college needs, availability of funds, and in accordance with the EMCC reduction in force policy. First of all, are there any questions for Dr. Alsobrooks about this? Yes? I'm not sure what that was. Do we have some people that need to excuse themselves for this vote?
Not been notified.
Okay.
These are all instructions.
These are all instruction, not staff. I mean, yes, they're staff, not, what did I say?
They're
Faculty,
faculty.
sorry. Is there a motion to approve the full-time faculty?
I make a motion, we approve.
Is that Mr. McDade? Oh, Mr. Davis. Has who seconded that? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms.
I
Hazel.
second.
Golly.
Okay. All in favor, I'll call the roll. Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Ms. Hazel Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. McDade. Mr. McDade,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Mosley,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item F, initial approval of the 2021 EMCC catalog and student handbook, along with the academic calendar. Dr. Rush, do you have some comments to make about this?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is the initial approval of the catalog and the calendar for the 2020 and 21 school year. The catalog includes changes that include title changes due to retirement, personnel leaving, and changes in the positions over the course of the year. Also, it reflects the new board members and supervisor positions. It also includes data from changes in programs that were as a result of curriculum rewrites from the Mississippi Community College Board that goes through the approval process, as well as clarifying some policies that were in the missions and student services area for our students. As far as the academic calendar is reflected, is very similar to that of this year's, with our start date for the fall 2020 school year being on August 17th. That's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Dr. Rush? Is there a motion for this initial approval for the catalog and student handbook and calendar?
So move, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Second, Linda.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And now I'll take the vote. Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Higgins.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. McDade.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Mosley.
Yes.
Ms. Murray.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Let's look at item G. It's the initial approval of the EMCC, initial approval of the EMCC policies and procedure manual. Is Ms. Baird available to make a comment?
I am.
Thank you.
So this is our initial approval for next year's policy manual. There weren't a lot of changes that were made to the manual. On the very last page, you can see the updates that were made. We changed a couple of council and committee names. The Web Advisory Council specifically, we changed to a Media Marketing and Recruiting Advisory Council. We changed job titles throughout the whole document to reflect the current organizational chart. We added a new Standing Enrollment Management and Retention Council that will guide some of those efforts. We created an account termination policy. This came from our Director of Information Technology. It just gave us more concrete direction on when an employee is removed from the college, the way that we terminate their email accounts and their access to certain drives on the network. We also edited the definition of the faculty work week. We allowed more flexibility in response to this whole pandemic that we've gone through. We added more flexibility where they could work remotely. We removed the language that said they had to be on campus each day. So it just gave the college a little bit more flexibility there. We removed a policy that was concerning overloads during the workday for faculty. In the past, we required that if a teacher, if faculty taught during their regular workday, they had to make up those hours. We have removed that because we have determined that's no longer necessary. We added a pandemic and epidemic illness procedure. This again is in response to what we've been going through right now. Our policy mimics the Mississippi employment handbooks. So it's not a lot that deviates from what what the state currently goes by. We also removed a policy that was specific to student participation in community activities. This policy really conflicted with the way that we do ambassadors for the school. So we removed this policy as we don't currently abide by it. And then the last thing we did was we had the vice president for the scuba campus as a check signatory. We removed that. So now the only check signatories we have are the president and the CFO, which is how it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And historically, that's how it was. So not many drastic changes that we made to the policy manual. That's all I have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Baird?
I do have one question about the story. So are there only 2 people that can sign on the checking account now?
There's 2 that can sign. It's the president and the CFO.
We might need one more just in case somebody came up and something happened. We could still issue checks if they were needed.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why we did have the vice president for the scuba campus as the 3rd signatory. We decided to remove him, but we can add a 3rd one back to the policy manual.
Because I know whenever we added Nikki on there, that was kind of the issue is Huebner left and then all of a sudden who's going to sign the check?
That's correct.
It was right before payroll.
And it was right before payroll. So I think that we need to leave somebody in there.
Okay.
Can we approve with the provision that we'll add a 3rd signatory in there?
Just the exception of that reference in the policy, but that policy change would not be included in those initial. This is initial approval, right? There'll be a second.
Okay, this is for the initial approval. So Ms. Baird is going to make a note of that particular change. Anything else? Your motion for this initial approval?
So moved.
Mr. Brooks makes the motion. Is there a second?
Greg Stewart, second.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. For the vote, Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Higgins,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. McDay. Mr. McDay,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Mosley,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Thank you all. Now we go to item 11, Board Attorney's Report. Ms. Easterling, do you have a report for us?
I do not.
All right, things are just looking up then, Bill. Bad news from you. Thank you. Let's look at items under 12, other business. Item A is evaluation of board meetings by the Board of Trustees. Ms. Baird, how would you like to conduct this? Ms. Baird?
I'm sorry. So evaluations of the board meetings and the president, that is something that y'all do annually. It's a SACS requirement that we have to satisfy. So what this is if you will, I believe you received that with your packet last week. If you will send these back to Ms. Vernon, we will compile them and we use this as evidence that we satisfy standard 4.2C and 4.2G of our SACS accreditation requirements, which state that we have to do an annual evaluation of our board meetings and how the process works there, and that y'all's evaluation of the president.
Okay, so do we have a date that we need to get these to by? Do you want to set?
Well, it would be great if we did them by the next board meeting, before the next board meeting.
Okay, I would encourage everyone to check your email, find those evaluation sheets, fill them out thoughtfully, and send them in to Ms. Vernon.
There is a place for you to sign your name that is optional. So if you would rather not sign the evaluation, that's okay.
Okay, thank you for that information. Item C, our date is June the 1st for our June board meeting. It will be at the Scuba campus. I would remind everyone that that is the time of year that we will do officer election. So be prepared to think about that, and we'll conduct that business in June. Is there other business?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to, y'all to consider going into closed session to discuss the matter that I wanted to do last month that failed. I think some of the reasons were given because it was remote. And I'd also like to go in to executive session to talk about a real estate issue.
Okay. Is there anyone that has any other questions as to why we need to go into a session before we vote? Is there a motion to go into closed session?
You mean a second? Yes, Greg Stewart.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
And I just want to say something about that. I know one of the reasons that was given was that we wanted to do this face to face. If you look at the evidence and look at the case numbers, we will probably be doing this same type of meeting this time next year. So if we're going to get this dealt with, it's time to do it now.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into closed session. What is your vote, Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Higgins?
Yes.
Jensen?
No.
Ms. Johnson?
No.
Mr. McDade?
No.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Mr. Mosley? Mosley?
No.
Ms. Murray?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
So the motion's carried. Go into closed session. Okay, the motion is carried for us to go into closed session. At this time, I would like for all of you that are not part of the Board of Trustees to please take yourself from the meeting.
Actually,